Hey everyone, I think I'm going to draw something doodle style, and this is one of those streams that if you think that I have any idea what I'm going to do, I don't, so let's just see where this goes and let's get to it. I am going to use dry paint brush for this one, just because the dry paint brush has this sort of nice line-like quality that is ideal for creating these sort of like individual lines, but at the same time it has a nice bit of texture, especially when you have your stylus sideways. Also, it is reactive to speed, I guess. I should know my own brushes better. Anyway, this aspect ratio is a bit different than I usually have. I just wanted to do something vertical for once. I feel like ever since I started doing these YouTube videos, I have been preferring a lot of this horizontal format for my paintings, just because it allows me to use the maximum amount of screen space for the videos, but I don't know, I just wanted to do something different for once. And that means vertical painting. Having said that, because I have no idea what I'm doing, so it might be that I will completely scrap this entire idea what I just said and do something horizontal, but we'll see. I think the one thing with this brush is that it would probably be better if I started in smaller scale. I'm gonna go here and resample canvas, and then set this to 3000, which is a tiny canvas. But what this does is it allows me to block in shapes a lot faster. As you see, now I don't have to go into brush settings and I have a much bigger brush at maximum scale. So how is everybody doing? I wanted to announce one cool thing that I'm doing this week, that if you're someone who has seen if you're a person who has seen these streams before, I have talked about this like one idea for a YouTube video for a long time, and I just this week was surprised by my boyfriend by this envelope, which is apparently a train ticket to somewhere. So I will be going to the train station tomorrow morning at 9 AM I think, and I don't even know where the train is going, but I'm going to be on a long train ride, and my intent is to make a whole new painting during that train ride. I don't even know how long the train ride is going to be, but that's my intent, and I'm charging all of my batteries for my equipment to take my camera with me and make a video out of it. So I wanted to do that for a really long time, and if I was still working full time, I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff, so I'm really excited about that. I think the camera position is really bad, because I keep looking off screen time. Or maybe I should change this OBS screen. Yes, it makes more sense. Now I'm covering a bit of this screen. Hey Remix World, people from Mexico. It's going to be nice to be in a train. Trains in Finland are really nice, so. I can hear that behind the door Vivi is having one of her evening freakout sessions, so that's good. I guess the reason why I want to have all of these oranges and brown hues here is that maybe I want to do some like autumn colors. I think that would be a good idea for a doodles type of a painting. There has been some talk in the comment section about what is the difference that I think of as a difference between drawing and painting. And this is really just semantics, so whatever your definitions are, that's fine. But the way that I use language in this area is that, to me, painting is something where you can go kind of like mushy with the colors, if that makes sense. And drawing is like when you use mostly line. To me, that is how I use those different words. And then I know that I have this graphic style that I sometimes call digital drawing, but I don't think that's really accurate because it's not based on lines. It's more like, I would call that more of like design work. And by design I mean design in a way that, like, for example, graphic designers use that word. But it doesn't really matter, like, if my definitions don't match your definitions. Also, those two can be blended or tree in any way. I have noticed that I have quite like drastically different styles that I do, and sometimes they blend together, and I think that's interesting. I used to think that it would be nice if like all of my different styles would like stay perfectly in their own different boxes, so I could feel like a different artist every time. But I noticed that that was kind of creatively limiting things that I can do. And now it's really just anything goes. I try to get out of the way of the ideas, because the ideas will come, and they are what they are. I just need to not be in the way. That makes sense. Oh, by the way, there's going to be some weird scaling happening here. I will probably explain this better in my next video. I just want to be very clear that this has nothing to do with Vivi at all. But this week, since Monday, I cut my own finger like quite badly in the kitchen while cooking. And the wound opened yesterday. So I have this massive band-aid on my thumb, and every time I try to color pick or pinch zoom the canvas, I can't, because it doesn't recognize that I'm touching the canvas with my other finger, so it's making all of my painting a bit slower. But I haven't let that stop me from painting. I did at first because I am making the next video that I will publish. It will be about the last. I don't want to say last because I don't want that to be the last one, but it will be the third weather box. And because I made the two first weather boxes in live streams, I thought that it would be nice to do like a maybe a bit longer video where I am painting the third one, where I'm not in a huge rush and I can just like spend time with those characters, and it has been like super fun because I've learned so much about how the weather box works and what those characters are and why the other guy is so lazy and sleeping all the time. That whole experience has been amazing, because I remember when I started doing the first weather box in one of these live streams, and it just came in that moment, that whole painting and that whole concept, and I have now spent so much time with that idea that those characters now have their own like lives and histories and just the whole world. it's more clear to me. I will probably not like explain the story in the video because that would be like derailing the content quite a bit, but I would love to use that somehow in some sort of like story format. I was thinking that like, could I write an Instagram description that is kind of a mini story as well, but probably that would be too many characters for Instagram to handle. I don't know. It would be... Maybe I should start a blog for these like small stories and not wait for a publisher to let me do a storybook. But I already have all the means that I can get these stories out into the world. Hey, Rick Oropesa. Same question again. Do you have a screen protector? No. No. I don't even have a screen protector. And I'm not going to get one. Any advice for a colorblind artist? I've taught some colorblind students during my concept art courses, and it didn't seem like that big of a hindrance, because I was informed that there are these applications. I can't name them, but I'm sure that you will find them if you Google them, that if you have a specific color blindness between two different colors, which I think is the most common color blindness issue, that there are these applications that can like highlight the pools of colors if you have trouble distinguishing between those. And I've seen, for example, one, I think it was red and blue or red and green color blindness. One portrait artist that does like realistic portraits uses this application, and before that she had these sort of like very wild color blotches on the portraits, but the values were right. It's just the colors were sometimes off, and she was able to correct that with the help of this app. But I have to say that it was kind of interesting to have that like one unique feature. I don't know how you feel about this. I don't mean any offense by this, but like I thought it was like interesting to see these realistic portraits where the values are correct and you can kind of like read it very easily, and then the unique way that the color was used, I think it was like very memorable, because I'm not that interested in like realistic portraits, so it just added that little bit of like uniqueness that I thought was cool. But maybe something that you might want to. Hey Phoebe. Phoebe, I meant to ask you, because Phoebe is usually in these chats at some point, would you be interested in like being a moderator so that like if somebody is spamming something that you can like silence them? You don't have to do this, like if it's any trouble, like I don't want to push anybody into this, but I noticed that in the last live stream there was this like one dude who was like saying this sort of like public health hazard stuff. I think it would be nice if I could just trust somebody to press a button to mute those people. You don't have to answer now. Think about it. But when I'm like doing these streams, I do have to like sometimes look at the screen and paint. So when I'm reading the chat too much, then I get nothing done, and that's not great for anybody, I think. I don't know how I had that thing. Maybe I can check it later, but like that would be really great. Again, remember that like if you just don't have the time or don't happen to be in a spot where it's possible, or you just don't want to do it, like no hard feelings. It's just if anybody wants to do that, then I would appreciate it. Because sometimes I guess like when I'm not able to watch the screen the entire time and somebody's saying something like repeatedly, then like it's kind of like creating a lot of spam in the chat that is already quite hard to follow. I sometimes wonder how all these gamers read the chat. I mean, like actually read text while they are playing these fast-paced games. That seems crazy. I think I'm gonna get this mic a bit closer. Oh, by the way, my one regret from my last video is that I forgot to say that that pattern that I made in that tutorial, I posted the entire pattern in high resolution on Twitter. So if anybody wants to use it, like, go there and get it. Like, it's big enough so that it can be used either on your iPad or any phone resolution. So it's free. Hi, Simon King says, hi, I've been struggling to get to draw for a long time now, and it's hard for me to find the motivation to paint. How can I get rid of this habit? The motivation part? What is stopping you? I think it would be interesting to hear, like, what is the talk that is happening in your head, that when you feel like you want to paint but don't, what is the reason that you say to yourself that, like, what gets you out of actually doing it? I think I need a bit more information to help you with that. I'm just gonna try a quick hue and saturation change. See if there's anything interesting. I guess I could like pull a few of these colors in. I'm using the pencil and picking it to parts. I think this will add a bit more hue variety, the whole thing. This is the worst kind of music when you want to just like relax and paint and not think about the fact that like I have to sleep at some point so that I can be alive tomorrow. It seems like a countdown to a spaceship about to explode. Thank you, Jennifer. What is your favorite game? In the last stream, by the way, somebody was asking me what is any game recommendations for Switch, and of course I could say the obvious ones, which is like Breath of the Wild, because it is my favorite game currently of all time. But like, that's obvious. If you have a Switch, chances are that you already have Breath of the Wild. So I would suggest, like, highly, I cannot recommend this enough. And if you like my art, it's a game that you will probably enjoy because of the spirit of it, and I do recommend it to anybody who wants to read dialogue boxes and to be interested in characters and story. And that game is Wonder Song. I don't know the developers at all, but it's just one of the most wonderful games that I have ever played, and I'm sad that it's over, but it's so good. I highly recommend it. It's so full of like joy and light and friendship. It's unlike anything that I have played before. Games can be so violent and depressing. Those are a bit too like creepy eyes. I guess it's a color choice thing. It's much better. Now the dramatic music is completely appropriate because I'm doing important bear stuff. Simon is replying to my question. I mean, I want to paint and create art, but it's just hard for me to find what to draw and the motivation to think about new drawing ideas. I say this quite often, but nobody fails an inkblot test. So, since you don't get anything done anyway, like, what's the harm in trying? Like, just make some kind of a mess, like by some sort of like random, whatever method that feels comfortable to you. There are many ways to create random shapes. Either something that you take a photograph of, like a random spill of coffee, or just like create a mess on the canvas and then look at it and think that what does this look like to me? That is your idea that you come up with, and it's probably something that will tell something about you anyway, without like making this huge fuss about it. But I think that this question is like secretly saying is that I can't come up with ideas that would be impressive or something that I would be comfortable publishing online. And if that's the real reason, then you will be happy to know that like nobody cares. I think this is the best advice I can give to any artist, that like if you feel stressed about your idea and about publishing it, like just remember that like nobody cares and there's like really nothing at stake. Nothing will be lost if you publish a painting that is not good. It doesn't even mean that you're a bad artist, it just means that that painting didn't turn out so well. You will make more. I don't like these ham colors here, so I'll try to have something else in there. Yellow, plastic. What is my time? I should like put the window so that I can actually see that. 22 minutes, okay. It's not great, but it's not like a disaster. Yeah, Hast is saying, I was listening to Ori's magical soundtrack while drawing, and at some point an epic chase music started. I think pretty much always music is something that I need to have to paint, so that's a huge source of inspiration. Yes, I know that there's a sequel for Breath of the Wild coming, and something that I will probably not recommend to everybody, but I am going to play the next Warriors game as well, because I kind of like the previous one. It's kind of mindless, but also relaxing. And I saw the gameplay of this new Warriors game, and I'm convinced. But I understand that Warriors games are like Monster Hunter games, that I love Monster Hunter games, but I would certainly not recommend them to everybody. It's not something that will appeal to everyone. Are you joining Inktober? No, definitely not. I'm thinking of doing my own art challenge if I have the time. But it won't be like draw every day. It will be draw as much as you want for this one thing. It's kind of hard to estimate how much time I will have, because I still have a tattoo that I'm designing. TV is really exploding all over the place. I'm sorry if you can hear the barking. There's not much I can do about it. I don't really play any games on iOS devices. I just need the buttons. And I tried attaching the controller and playing some of the Apple Arcade games, but I just soon realized that the design philosophy of iOS games is different than console games. And I guess I knew that already, but still it was like reconfirmed. I guess it's the attention loop thing, the feedback loop. I prefer games that have a longer feedback loop than games that are designed for mobile. Go to curves and just see if there's some interesting colors that I can get out of this piece display. Some mistakes were made. Okay. trying to hold the pen in a way that doesn't press against my thumb because I don't want to open the same wound again. Kind of gross to feel my finger. Do you have any paid teachings you have made? I am currently making a beginner's course for people who are new to Procreate, and after that I am doing a course on like just art. It won't be platform specific because I thought about it the way that I teach, for example, the concept art classes, that those aren't platform specific in any way. It's about art and those rules won't change. So for that course there will be a requirement that like if you want to do that course, then you will have to know already the program that you are using, and by that I mean that you have to know how to use the basic tools. But I was just having this talk with the business coach that I have for this end of this year. We were having this discussion yesterday here, and what we were talking about mostly is like the pricing. She has helped me a lot in figuring that out, because that to me is quite scary, because I haven't done anything like that before, and she has done a lot of these like writing classes, and he has kind of like informed me out of all of the costs that I didn't even think of. So at least I'm not like doing it completely blind. I guess it would be easier to like offer those courses and learning materials cheaper if I was like super famous on YouTube and I had like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but at the same time I'm not like motivated at doing something that would be like super cheap, because I understand that there is also a risk if I like accidentally price it too low, then people might buy it but they won't do it, and that's not my goal. Because I know that if I bought a course or any learning materials and I paid like almost nothing for it, like I might buy it but I wouldn't do it. And I think there's enough research on that, and that just I wouldn't be motivated to make that sort of course anyway. But what those price points are, that to me is still undecided. But for the past few weeks I've been focusing on like just doing the outline and practicing the stuff that I will be teaching in it, because I needed to have this specific equipment for it. For example, this arm, because I want to shoot it with the camera that I have here. I mean, most of my YouTube videos, except the last one, most of my YouTube videos are shot with like worse quality camera, and this better camera is so heavy that I needed to have a different arm, different this sort of like ball head, which is surprisingly expensive, and to have that whole thing set up. And this video that I am now publishing soon about this weather box that I talked about, which I'm really excited about because I just love that. I just love the whole weather box world. That's kind of like my test run of like how can I edit and shoot video like this. I guess the hardest part is that like it's really tricky to like mount the camera on this arm because the camera is the most expensive thing that I own. It really is, and having it hanging above my iPad, which is basically more important than life to me, that's scary, because if the arm or the connection breaks, it will be like smashing through the screen of the iPad, and then everything that I have, the most expensive stuff, will be gone. So it's still scary to mount it. I don't recommend the paper like screen protector. I think this layer styles, that would be like part of the more advanced stuff. I don't think anybody like new to Procreate should be like concerned with that. I think for that sort of like basics course, you should probably learn few of the basic layer styles that I use most of the time. Like you probably see me using them in these live streams as well. But it's only few blend modes. Like there's just like no point in burdening somebody who is just new to digital painting to like, here is how all of the layer styles work, because you don't need that information, and there's so many things to learn. It will just like overwhelm and scare somebody. And worst of all is that like if you teach something like that, that is like useless information, there's a danger that they will think that it's useful and like find a way to kind of like shoehorn all of these blend modes into their workflow, even though it's like detrimental to the quality of the work. So that's why I feel pretty strongly about like showing the ones that are actually useful and just ignoring the ones that like you don't need to even know how they work. Like for example, let's look at the blend modes. For example, soft light. I have used that probably never. Hard light, maybe yes. Thin light, you will never need to use this. Hard mix, you will never need to use that for anything. So those, I think like if those were in a list of explanations and they were all given equal amount of like emphasis, that would like create this like conception that like they are all equally important, and they're not. They're just not. Like with process, like there's no point in like spending 5 hours in like teaching somebody like how to create process, because for most people I wouldn't recommend like creating process at all, or even like buying ones, because the ones that are already in Procreate, they're good enough. I spent probably like the entire first year when I started using Procreate just using the default process. Didn't have any problem with them. It was just like, it took me a long time to learn how the brush system works. And that's not something that is a requirement to learn how to paint. It's like somebody who says that like, I want to learn how to drive a car, and then you teach them how to change the steering wheel. That's not required information. I'm not a car person, so that example took way too long to come up with. Oh. What's your favorite color? Probably the same as everybody else's. I love blue stuff. Painting with blue is super easy. And green. To wear, I love red. Most of all. Just depends on like what the purpose of it is. Hast said, judging by the music, this bear is an optional boss. Yes. It seems like this is the type of boss that will ask you very specific questions about the lore of the game, and you have to answer all of them correctly. I just want a little bit more length to this whole thing. By the way, I should like probably resize the whole thing again. I'm doing this somehow in a wrong order. Why doesn't it resample it? Oh, it does. Okay, and then more height. Well, that's what the snapping is for. So if I put the snapping on, I can like pull it down from this corner without accidentally making it wider than the just making sure that I don't accidentally have any of that like background white going through. It can be a very frustrating way to work. Also this line in between, so I'm just painting over that first. Oh, you were the one who does the power button trick for black and white. Yes. You have to do it in settings, and you kind of have to do it in two settings at once. I would have to watch that tutorial myself to show the steps, but it takes half of that tutorial to set up the iPad for the power button trick, so that I recommend doing. What is your favorite feature in Procreate 5X? It's a tough question. I guess I'm most excited about the filter pencils, because I can see that that could actually like change the way that I paint, because I could do, for example, accents and highlights with the brush. I think that's quite exciting because I haven't seen that in any other application before. Maybe it's that one. I've been doing this for a long time, so to see a feature that I haven't seen in other applications before, that's something. It's like making a layer and doing adjustments to it and then adding a layer mask and then painting it, but like in one button press swipe. By the way, oh my god, I merged this bear with these. I hate it when it happens. This is why I don't use too many layers. Bear. It should be like a bit wider, like a chunkier. It's got to have like more bear or just one painting, just in mass. I think it has like really chunky paw. This is totally like Demon Souls hub room music. By the way, Demon Souls is my favorite Souls game. After that, I kind of lost interest. I don't really like the Dark Souls series that much. I mean, like, they're okay. It's just the aesthetics are quite different. And I'm not sure how I feel about the remake, because I think they are taking away some of that like restraint that was the best and most unique feature about Demon's Souls. So, but the design is awesome, so if you just like really good games, I recommend that anyway. Favorite weapon class for Monster Hunter. Which Monster Hunter? But I have changed the weapons for every Monster Hunter game I played, and I played with only one weapon, and I'm not great at it, so it's just so that I can be okay and not fail for everybody, because in Monster Hunter everybody shares the lives, so if there are a full party of like 4 people playing a match against a monster and one person dies, I guess 3 times, like that ends the game for everybody. So in the old Monster Hunter games, like the most common thing that people would say in the quick chat, and it's mapped to the first like quick command to the chat, and that is "I'm sorry." It's very Japanese like culture of shame. So you really want to be not the person who is like failing the mission for everybody in the Monster Hunter. So I guess the first Monster Hunter that I played a lot was Monster Hunter Tri on Wii, and on that I used I think it's called Switch Axe, which is basically an axe, but there is like a quicker method to using that axe as well. And then when Monster Hunter Tri Ultimate came, which was by the way amazing version of that game, then I used Hunting Horn, which lets you kind of like play notes on this bagpipe sounding weapon, which is also kind of an axe. I think that was great. Then on the first 3DS game after that, I think it was the fourth Monster Hunter. It was Insectglaive, and then Ultimate Generations. I guess I just used all kinds of weapons in that one. Probably like I went back to the Switchblade most. And then in Monster Hunter World, I used Charge Blade. Is that is too much information to everybody who doesn't care about Monster Hunter at all. Sorry. Minor geeking out. I think this is a good pair. A bit fluffier. I think I put Mehmet on a short break. I think let's just give everybody like opportunity to speak. If somebody is spamming the entire chat, it will not be possible for me to like follow what people are saying. I'm sorry. Try to remember that I need to paint at the same time while I'm like trying to follow the chat, so be respectful of other people too and their chance to interact with the chat. Hey Chris. This weird fear that am I in the wrong layer? That would be terrible. Do you like lo-fi music? Yes, I have said this before in this channel, but I really like City Girl albums. Highly recommend those. Can't play them on this channel because it's not music that I can afford to buy a license to. I can't talk about the I can't talk about the headphones for reasons that I can explain later. I explained them in the previous chat already, but I can't speak about it. If possible, could you talk a little about lighting your pieces? It depends on the style. For this style, the realistic lighting doesn't really make sense, or it would actually be kind of like distracting. So I'm just going by expression of like what creates enough contrast with the brushstrokes next to them to give it like more of an expressive look. But sometimes when I have more realistic colors, then the thing that I think about is the color of the light. It's the most important thing in the mood of any painting. And since somebody was asking about my concept art classes earlier, it's one of those things that I require my students to be able to verbalize when they do their homework and they show their pieces, like what is the color of the light, what is the mood of this piece. If like they can't answer those questions right away, then they haven't done their homework. It doesn't matter what the painting is, it's not done. Before I leave, Sock Puppet is saying, I wanted to say that Unity has started a huge game jam project. Anyone who wants can join. The finished game will go to Steam and your name on it. Oh, nice. I put your piece Journey to the Sun on my Christmas list this year. Happy day to you. That's nice. Yeah, I really like Journey to the Sun, and I wonder if I could dig out that music from somewhere. I think I'm still subscribed to one of the music license services that I used back then, but I did an Instagram story about the making of Journey to the Sun, and it's one of my favorite videos. I mean, like, it's like crappy. I had no idea how to do video editing back then, but the reason why I like that is because it has this like awesome bossa nova style of music, and it just like fits the painting like perfectly. Like with that music, it's like something more than the music and the painting, but together they just... I've watched that story so many times. I think if you scroll down my story circles, I have still saved all of them. You will still be able to see them. That one on Instagram, making of Journey to the Sun. What brushes are you using? This brush is dry paint brush from my own brush set. But like I said earlier, like the default Procreate brushes are already really good too. And I'm not using brushes, I'm using this brush from this brush set for this painting. I feel like this is always important to say. I think if I just used all of the brushes from my brush set, it would just be like a dog's dinner. Different tools in one image. No. Wouldn't recommend that. In one of these art channels, like, I saw this video where the main title was this like top 10 mistakes that new artists make, and one of them was that they thought it's a mistake when somebody is not using enough brushes, and I was like, what? Why? Then I realized that like they are probably just trying to sell a product or something. But no. If buying my brushes makes you use like even more brushes or different brushes in the same picture, like maybe it's better to just skip that and work on that issue first. I don't want to add to anyone's problem like that. I use the ones that I have done mostly, but like there's this like a graphic section that has a lot of the brushes that are already in Procreate. Like for example, this Monoline brush that I use for my graphic style, it's just a Monoline brush where the streamline has been spaced out so that I can get an actual round dot when I want it. Then I have Monoline brush in 2 different variants, and that is also a default Procreate brush. Oh. not change my brush for this. So Monoline has a size cap. So I have changed the size cap for the different brush, and I want to do bigger shapes for my graphic pieces. But that's also default brush that is already in Procreate. You don't have to buy anywhere from. But obviously my graphic style is very different to whatever this is. And then for the graphic style I also use pencils. I have taken the size cap out of those. And then spray paints, I love those for texture. I know that my right-handedness like messed up those diagonal lines because they are too much in this direction, so that's why I rotated the screen so that I can do the opposite lines somewhat painlessly. By the way, I'm rendering a video while I'm streaming, so I have Adobe Premiere Pro on, and at least it hasn't caused me any issues. There's like so much rendering and processing that needs to happen for each video that tomorrow I won't be home, so I won't be able to edit the video for the weatherbox video. So at least I can put the materials to like be processed or when I get back, because then I will have also this new material on my camera, and I need to like take out the cue from my PC so that I can work on the train video after that, because these are like massive files. Even after it was sped up, it was still, the materials were 118 gigs for half of this weatherbox video, and that is just the video, no audio or music tracks or any graphics yet. There was a lot of like drama about this opacity, but the opacity is like always here. It has always been here, it's still there. I guess it used to be like somewhere there, but like I didn't ever use that because it doesn't make sense and it's slower than just opening this and working on those. By the way, I hate this like Apple update that added this sort of like doodle type dribble thing. You can probably turn it off, but I haven't yet. It's just never something that I want to use, and it's kind of like that Siri thing. I don't want to say that name too loud because when it activates, it covers the screen. But before this stream started, I went to the settings of this test thing and disabled at least some part of it, hopefully forever. I used to teach in-person classes, but after that I have also done online classes. It's for a Finnish video game school. But the classes have been in English in both, even the in-person class. The classes were in English in Helsinki. The live streams I do when I can. I just realized that doing the weather box video is going to take longer. Because today I had to be in the dog training school for Vivi, so that Vivi will someday be a good dog. Now she isn't, now she's just impossibly adorable. But we're trying to teach her some manners. I guess the worst thing is that when she's not behaving, she's still impossibly cute. Like, for example, we don't want her to jump on the couch, but when she jumps so that she can lean against the couch with her cube-like form, it's so hard to sound or look mad when she's so adorable when she's doing that. But these streams, like, I will just like do them when I can. If I'm completely honest, these aren't that great for channel growth, because nobody who is like already subscribed to this channel or watching my videos, normally they don't get recommended these live streams, so it's not great for growth. Also, I can only put ads on like after the stream is done, so all the ad revenue will only kick in after the stream is done, and people don't usually like to watch streams that have already ended. So in that sense, it doesn't make that much sense, but I like doing this. So that's why I'm here. I like painting live. There's something interesting and challenging about these. I don't know. Also, I like talking with you guys. It makes me feel, I guess, less alone, since I'm here painting all day. I don't get much of human interaction. Today, when I was like getting some of this like video equipment for tomorrow's train ride, it was exciting because it was the first time in almost weeks that I've been like out of this area to see something else, because I've been mostly taking care of Vivi. And I have a timer for how long I can be out of the house, because she can be now alone about 1 hour and 30 minutes. But I'm trying to space it out so that she wouldn't like suddenly have to spend a long time alone and, I don't know, get anxiety. I want her to be used to the idea that like I will always come back when I leave the house, that she won't feel anxious. Do you plan out what you paint on live stream, or do you paint whatever you feel at the moment? Also, thank you, Paradraik, Devin. Obviously, most of the time I don't plan anything. I think for time reasons, it sometimes makes sense to have like line art, or if I'm feeling stressed and I decide to do a live stream, then just having line art and some kind of a plan makes me feel more relaxed to paint because I don't have to do the whole, oh my god, is this even going to be a thing when I'm done? Not to have that whole conversation in my head every time. I will deal with it when I have like the mental capacity to deal with it, but otherwise I just won't. But most of the time I don't have any plan. Just I'm here, I'm doing stuff. Let's see where this goes. And sometimes it works. Sometimes I do paintings where I'm like, eesh, not sure how that went. Like, for example, if I'm completely honest, the Dragon Egg Island, after that live stream was done, I felt like, oof, well, it's a painting. So then I posted it to Instagram and it got almost 10,000 likes and I was like, what? Okay, I have no ability to review my work after it's done. Same for the first weather box, I was like surprised. And the castle, yeah, both of those went over 10k. And they were live stream paintings, so I don't know. Sometimes it succeeds. And I don't want to say this like the point of success is that other people like your paintings. I mean, I just want to do paintings that I like, but if somebody else likes it, then that's good enough too. Like, for example, this style usually doesn't do that well, but still I'm here doing this style because I like doing this style and I think it's super fun and relaxing, and I would recommend doing this sort of like doodle style for everybody, especially if you feel stuck with your art. Just like take some of those expectations out of it. Like, definitely great. And try to find that kind of childlike messing around with colors thing. I think deep down everybody likes this. The same way that people like toppling wooden blocks and, I don't know, biking downhill. It's one of those like basic fundamental things that is hard not to enjoy unless you're like completely dead inside. I'm still not great with these Procreate selection tools, I have to admit. But one thing that has helped me a lot is that I went to the settings and I adjusted this sort of like opacity of this lines that you see animating here, and it really helped me see what I'm doing. So I recommend doing that because by default it's quite low opacity and it's not that helpful. I think I like these like high opacity reflections. I'm just gonna take them down to notches. I think the bear also needs some of this purple hue. Oh, I do that too. This is not a lighting technique, by the way. So precise. That's good enough. I think it could also have some counterbalance, like something orange or reddish on the other side. Maybe grab something like this. Maybe something more mustardy. Monkey paws. I'm liking this. It seemed a bit scary at first, but now I think I like this. How do you get ideas? I always just blank. I blank a lot too. But I try not to let the fact that I have no idea what I'm doing stop me from painting. I think that's no reason not to paint. Sometimes the idea just comes, and sometimes it doesn't, but at least you tried. I mean, at least I showed up for my part of this process. Like, I can't make the creativity give me awesome ideas and fun paintings every time. That's asking a bit much. But when it does show up, like, I'm already here, I'm working, and I have developed my skills so that I'm ready for it when the idea comes. I can like catch it with better ability than I could before. And with practice, I'm more like kind of attuned to like hearing the creative ideas when they come, because previously I think it was just like all of my fears in the way, saying that I'm not good enough painter for that, or it's too crazy, people won't like that. And now I think I have a bit more like humility to the process of understanding that it's not about me. And that the ideas are more important than my fears. That's why I always say to people that like, when you do practice work, always practice the imagination part as well, because that's a skill. It's not just something that people have or don't have. It's a skill that you need to practice, otherwise it won't happen. I'm sure that everybody has ideas. I've taught art for so long that I haven't met a student that doesn't have great ideas. Everybody has great ideas. Mikko, what do you like to draw the most? Bears? Yes. Bears. And moss. I think one of the best things that has happened to my art is realizing that I can't draw too much of one thing. Like, I don't have to change subjects to just be out of my comfort zone. I can draw 1 million bears, and if somebody thinks that like that's too much bears for me, I'm out, then okay, I understand that. That's not everybody's thing. I don't need to change what I like for no reason at all. Like, if it brings me joy, I can do as many paintings of that one subject as I want, and I would recommend this for everybody. And if you are still kind of like stuck on this sort of like old art teaching idea of like you have to get out of your comfort zone, think about the people that you admire in art or in music that is successful. Is anybody successful at anything ever, doing anything except the one thing that is like exactly in their comfort zone? That's why they are successful. They have gotten comfortable with it and stuff. Just like enjoy it. And that sort of like enjoyment, I think, is infectious. You will see it in your work when you enjoy it. I think like traditional art teaching has like fought against this idea for so long, and one day I just realized that like maybe this is kind of bullshit and I don't need to keep repeating these sort of like same teachings to my students, because I don't think this is good advice. In fact, I think this is pretty harmful for a lot of people who would like to do one thing but then they feel guilty about it because they were supposed to be challenging themselves all the time, and then when they are old and nobody has come out of thin air and said like, you're good now, you can just do the thing that you like doing and enjoy it, they can just quit art because they have ingrained this idea in themselves that art isn't something enjoyable and fun to do. And I think that is like so sad. And I don't want to be the reason why this happens to anybody. Despite this, I wouldn't say that I'm an easy art teacher. I think I'm pretty strict. But I think these sort of like ideas are the ones that I don't want to be part of in any way, because I don't believe in them at all. No reflection of the bear in the water. Oh my god. You're right. I didn't notice that at all. The reason why I'm making these layers is because like I'm making such like big decisions all the time that I want to have this safety net of, if I make something that just doesn't work, I can always like squeeze it down or like get rid of the layer. So it's like a group of undos. It doesn't have like layer purpose at all. these type of paintings, I think it's better to just use one layer to paint on. Especially with some brushes, like for example, if you have this brush set and you're using brushes like for example honey, like they work best when you have other colors on the same layer, otherwise you won't get the same sort of like blending effect that that brush has. I would name like a default Procreate brush that also has those sort of same features, but like honestly I don't know any at the top of my head, but I'm sure that there are also like default Procreate brushes that have that feature in them. Did you use clipping mask? No, for that reflection I didn't use a clipping mask because it was on top of this like base layer, so there's no need for a clipping mask because it already is painted on a layer that has 100% opacity everywhere. I'm obsessed with bears and pandas. My partner is listening to this and he's like, this is why you love this channel, isn't it? Yes. It's the official channel of bears. Bear painting. I guess that's like good YouTube marketing, isn't it? Like when you like really niche down. So I guess I should like niche down to the topic of if you want to do Procreate paintings about bears digitally and watch that process happen live, watch this channel. I would have all of 5 different subscribers. But honestly, YouTube is so hard and such a like a long battle that you have to find ways to enjoy it, and all of those ways, they just can't be the most optimal way to grow a channel, otherwise you will just burn out and quit. Out of all the different social media channels, I think YouTube has been by far the most challenging one, and not just like my own language abilities in English, like they are the least of my worries. It's like the technical and video editing and all of that stuff, and time it takes to edit videos. If you're just like a YouTube watcher and not a content creator here, it's kind of easy not to realize that everybody on the platform is like secretly super skilled at video editing, because you have to have like pretty high level of skill to just like put even like one YouTube video together that has multiple different cuts or different camera angles. It's not easy stuff. I think for that, like the level of skill, like the starting point is already pretty high. So for my friends who are like have different comments about me having a YouTube channel, I always say to them that like you don't have to do 100 YouTube videos like I have to understand what this is like. Just make one and you will have a really good idea of like just what my daily life is like. I don't want to get too fussy with these shapes because I think the emotion is more important, and for that it's not just about the values, it's also about the color. I think the color in a painting like this is just as important. Although this is just one of the many reasons why I never recommend starting painting with doing a black and white version for anybody. I've said like this thing about Bob Ross before. I love Bob Ross and I love watching Bob Ross videos. But I don't want this channel to be... There's one like key difference. I don't want this channel to be a channel where I repeatedly say that like painting is easy and painting can be done in 30 minutes, because I don't think painting is easy. And if I just said that message over and over, I think that could be like very motivating, and then you go home and paint, and then it's super difficult, and then you feel discouraged, and then you stop. That is not my intention. I mean, if you want inspiration, I think Bob Ross is great for that, but I think ultimately teaching art is all fine and good, but if I can teach you to fail, then I think I have done something more lasting and something more useful to those who want to have art as part of their life. And then it got pretty serious. But I'm serious about that stuff. I think that's important. Failing is harder to do than succeeding. It's more important to get good at that. If the bear eats someone. Yeah, this bear has probably already eaten somebody. That's probably why it has such a bright halo. It has done a good deed, reducing the amount of people in the world. Kind of like these sort of like accidental blotches. The whole bear. I don't want to get too fussy with it. Let's not leave it be. Oh no. Leave it. I will destroy it if I get too fussy with it. Because the point of this is not to impress anybody. You want to see somebody who does like super skilled painting. This is probably not the video for you. Just a fun thing. That's not to say that I don't love this painting. I'm pretty happy with the way that it is already. I just saw some like these cattails today on my way to the place where the dog training happens. If there's anybody Finnish watching this, I call these cattail plants pampulakasvit. That's probably the reason why I like these plants, the name. Also cattails is fun. We run out. No. Who else is painting right now? I'm painting a scene with a blood moon and a big fish in the sky. That's interesting. Blood moon makes me think of Breath of the Wild. I still haven't finished hard mode. I guess that's one of the ideas when I started doing these live streams, is that I thought that it would be super awesome if somebody watches these live streams and like actually paints at the same time. I understand that it's kind of like a longer format video. And also, like, that makes me feel less scared about not knowing what I'm doing, because I think that might give someone like some hope when they have their own painting that they're working on, then they see that I have a complete mess in front of me after the first 20 minutes. So it's like that for everybody. Sorry, I know that this is going to look weird when you have to watch this upside down, but it's upside down for me too, and I just want to have some patterns here, like very low contrast, because it's the edge of the painting. But these are the sort of details that I just love when I have like a high resolution print, like the one next to the front door here. It's one of my favorite paintings. It just makes me smile every time. It's kind of the same style. I'm squinting my eyes because I kind of like to see the raster effect of these brush strokes, so that what they look like from very far distance and how they blend optically in the viewer's eye. Because the hues and values are so close to each other, they barely make any difference. So I also don't want to waste time on brush strokes that are meaningless. Sorry about this portion of the whole painting. I understand that because the painting is upside down, it's really hard to follow. I'm turning it around. How did you learn digital art? So when I was in school, I had this like group of friends, and we were all doing watercolor paintings, and kind of slowly all of us made more or less digital art with very cheap tablets. And when you're young, it's really easy to like learn Photoshop and stuff. By the way, back then Photoshop was like affordable to normal people. I guess still like the Adobe licenses are one of the biggest like money sinks on this channel. I don't want to get sidetracked. Yeah, after that I went to the army, and after army I went to art school to learn oil painting, and I studied oil painting for 3 years, and I kept painting digitally at the same time, because painting is painting. I mean, the stuff that I teach in the concept art class, it's the stuff that I learned in art school and working as an artist, just to how to make an image. Those rules don't change regardless of what medium you're using. I'm just the type of person that like, there's so many paintings in my head all the time that if I had all the time in the world, I would probably like oil painting as my main medium. But because the time commitment, I would have to say no to so many of these ideas and worlds that I could spend time in. So that's just like a no to me. Like the medium doesn't mean that much to me. But I do love oils. Also, it's not cheaper to paint with oils. With oils, you really can't buy cheap colors. Otherwise, you can't even learn how to paint with too cheap colors, sadly. How many years did you need to learn art? I guess that depends on to what level. Also, how do you define levels? I started when I was very young, but I was very bad for many years. I would say that to anybody who like seriously wants to learn how to paint and are committed to painting like a huge volume of work every month, then I think it's realistic to learn to paint in 7 years. Walnut. Cheers from Finland. Nice colors. Moi. I think the cool thing with this style is that I can make like bigger color changes, because that's something that like always feels like intuitively like really fun. And I also think that that's one of those like common beginner mistakes that are really hard to kind of get out of people, that when they go into this color palette that they choose like very different colors every time that they choose, and when in reality if you want to do like a realistic painting, you could probably do a realistic painting with like this amount of like hue variation and then like just like small tweaks here, and that's the whole color palette. There are some live streams where I have used just one color, and if you pay attention to the palette then you can probably see that I am working in a very, very narrow area. But this is fun. It's like, woo. And the more colors you have, like it's way, way harder to control how everything fits together. But it's like fun hard, so I don't know. I don't want to discourage anybody from doing that, because if they enjoy it, why wouldn't you? But if you're learning art, like definitely do the analogous colors exercises a lot for every color. I merged the layers again. Oh. I'm an idiot. Why can't I do this like one thing? By the way, today I noticed one thing. I don't know if they have actually changed this, but I noticed when I was using the beta, and this is not the beta, this is the full version. So when I went here and I did a selection and I did copy, and then I saw paste, like without closing this menu. Is that a change that they made just now? That has been driving me crazy, that you always needed to close the menu and then open it to see the paste active. And now they have fixed it. And I just complained about it in the last video. Ugh. Sorry. Sorry people at Procreate. Did you attend to digital art school? No, I did not. Also, I am not in control of the music, it's like on rails. There's a seed track that is trying to pick something similar. The algorithm isn't, obviously, perfect. I appreciate the change in tempo though, like it kind of makes me paint faster. And I need this to be done pretty soon because I need to go to sleep. And I need to make sure that I have all of my devices properly charged for tomorrow, because then I will be doing that train ride adventure. I'm so looking forward to that. And I'm so happy that I'm able to do that. It just went to white. I don't like using white. How do you make money for a living? I don't know. Still a mystery. Working on it. Oh. I do commissions sometimes. But for clients that pay enough money. This was one of those things that I was just talking about with the business coach, that if the payment is not reasonable, then I'm actually losing more money than I'm doing a cheap commission, so I'm gonna stop doing those altogether. No more cheap commissions. And it's like something that I have always known, but it was good to just like have this conversation with an outsider person and go through the numbers, like how much everything costs to make. And anyway, it's usually like companies that I work with. Those are the most fun commissions to make anyway, because they understand the time commitment to make a painting. If somebody is just like ordering a single illustration, for example, for their own use, like that's probably not a person that is like has knowledge of like the art industry and the whole process of like how much goes into it, and the logistics and the taxes and so on. Did you learn by online courses? No, I went to the art school. I think the commission prices, like, they change depending on like the project, what it is for, how much research and emails and so on need to be done for it. There are many factors that come into it. But basically, like, even for like quick and fast commissions, like anything under like 800 euros, that would probably like end up losing me money, meaning that I would have to pay to get the client the product that they want. And I think that's really hard for people to understand, that it actually costs me money to paint it too cheap. Let alone like do something that I could actually live off of, so. Somebody said that that's an entire iPad Pro, but like this iPad, I bought this with the money that I made from like one commission, and it was over 1,000 euros. It's the high storage version. I need to stop wasting my life with this one tree. Oh my god. How much time did I spend there? It's not great. I will post this finished piece to Twitter first, but it will take some time before I post it to Instagram, because for Instagram I want to post this weather box piece next, so that they will all be in a row, the three of them, all of the weather boxes. That's one like form of like people are commenting on the music, but that's one form of like how I can make these streams more relaxing for me. Like for example, last time I had made in Audition the whole playlist, even the transitions and blending and the remixes and how long they are. I controlled all of that, and that was 3 hours of music. So you can imagine that that's also a lot of work. So I can't do that every time, but it's relaxing when I have a playlist that I have already selected. But sometimes when I just trust the algorithm and just like, this is a song that I like, play something similar, then I can find something that is like fun. Like this piece of kind of like, then I can go back and see that what was played, and maybe I can use some of them in my videos later. This seems like the type of music that I could use in an end of a video that has like some sort of like tutorial element, and despite me being completely like mentally wrecked in trying to get the painting together, the music would make it sound like, and here's how you do it, it's completely super easy. And then I would just like fade out to end cards. Okay, I need to like stop painting, like seriously. It's pretty much done. I still have time tomorrow morning to do like some finishing touches before the train thing starts. Now I really need to stop. It's just I got stuck on this painting, and the reason is that I like it. I don't feel bad about that, but that's the reason. Halo can be a bit chunkier. I will just like nudge it with like one tap. Or Halo. Delete and then do a copy canvas. And now that paste button that is perfectly there where I need it. I think for these sort of paintings, it's always fun to do sharpen. Another reason why I need to stop is because the iPad probably doesn't have battery. So the reason why it's always fun to do sharpen, and especially like when you import this out of the iPad to your gallery, I would recommend doing the second sharpen that affects the bigger area on your like normal, just like photos application on your phone. I'm not gonna show that because I haven't checked what there is in gallery. I don't want to have like Chris Evans situation here. So that other sharpening like usually makes paintings like these like really pop, because then you can see all the individual brush strokes even in like low contrast areas like these. Just don't go overboard with that, because you don't want to have that like weird halo around everything. Yeah. What was I about to say? Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Sorry for the brain freeze. It's kind of late in here. I've had a really long day of editing, and I'm gonna be doing the train video tomorrow that I've been dreaming of for a really long time, so I'm looking forward to that. So look forward to the weather box thing. That's going to be cool. And I see you in the next video. Thank you everybody for like just noticing that I'm here, and I will start adding those like moderator things to people who want to have them. I'll just let me know in the chat or somehow that you would be interested in that, because I don't want to like put anybody to that who doesn't want to do it. Also, there's no requirements for that. It's just people that I trust, and Phoebe I trust because she's been here for a really long time. Okay, I'm really gonna stop now. Okay, see you guys in the next video. Bye.